Welcome to Seeing with Your Soul, a safe and sacred place to be vulnerable, to be transparent, to be authentic. I am your host, Tisha Michelle. From the deep pain and loss of my best friend Gloria, I realized she gave me the greatest gift ever, remembering my purpose in life, which is to help connect you to your authentic self, guide you to remember your purpose, and remind you that your current circumstance doesn't define who you are. Join me as we heal, align, and glow together. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Seeing with Your Soul. I'm your host, Tisha Michelle. What's up, what's up, what's up? If this is your first time dropping by, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here and I hope you stick around for a while. And if you are a loyal listener, you guys already know I love you guys. All right, so around here, I love starting off with expressing gratitude. So important to just state what you're grateful for. Even sometimes just to simply just out loud, just be like, thank you. Whew, thank you, right? So in this present moment, I would say that I am definitely grateful for the relationship I'm grateful for the relationship I have with all my children. But right now, I want to talk about my 15-year-old. I want to really state how grateful I am for how our relationship has deepened a lot more. And a lot of that has to do with me, myself, and healing. You know, the other day we had a conversation and it was just a very real conversation. And she asked me a lot of questions. And she opened up about things like within herself. And guys, these teens, I don't know if you have any like teens or they're in your family or something, like these teens are holding on to a lot of things that don't belong to them. A lot of worries and concerns and burdens that aren't theirs, that they belong to other people, and they feel a sense that they are holding on to them. So if you have teen children, do your best to conversate with them and just have a conversation with them, real conversations, not the like, let me get all up in your business because I'm your parent type thing, but just, let a conversation flow and really see where they're at, how they're feeling, what they're thinking, right? So she asked me a lot of questions and she was just like, what was it like for you growing up, like without having your dad? Or what was it like for you with like, your mom, not being the way that she is with them, with the grandkids and stuff. And then she asked me like, was that like your soulmate? Like, how come with the dating? And it was so cool because had this shit had happened even 6 months ago or maybe like a year ago, I would have been hella like uncomfortable and I would have avoided the shit out of what she said. I'd be like, girl, you're asking me too many questions. I got things to do, right? Just avoid it. But the conversation flowed so well. It ended up being like a 2-hour conversation and it was so good. It was so beautiful. And I don't even go in front. I was so proud of myself because I didn't get like upset at anything or feel uncomfortable. It was just a conversation as well. So I'm so grateful for that experience that, I just recently had with my daughter. So now it's your turn. What's up with you guys? What are you guys grateful for in this present moment? So unless you're driving, go ahead and close your eyes because I love to get grounded before we go into our gratitude. I do this before I start for the podcast. I take my nice deep breaths and I, just really just connect and get back into my body before I even come on here to speak to you guys, right? It's really, really important to ground ourselves. So like I said, unless you're driving, go ahead and close your eyes. Now I want you to take a nice deep breath and you're just going to breathe in through your nose and just out through your mouth. Does that feel good? All right, let's do another nice deep breath, just breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Just let it out, just relax. Let all your stress go, all your worries, and just know right now, like you're just here, you're present with yourself. We're going to take one more nice deep breath. So just go ahead and breathe in through your nose. And just go ahead and just release all the worries, the stress, anything that you are holding on to that no longer serves you, and just let it out through your mouth. Yes. Don't we feel good? All right, so what are you guys grateful for in this present moment? For those of you who love to journal, go ahead and just put it on pause and go ahead and journal away and then pick it back up. The rest of you, go ahead and say it out loud, say it in your head. Really think about it. Scan your life, scan your last 2 minutes, listen, whatever it is. What are you grateful for? 1 thing, 2 things, 3, 4, whatever. Just express it. Just release it. Let it go. Let it out there. I am grateful for ... All right, so before we get into today's episode, I have a couple of quick announcements. So I had my retreat scheduled for May of last year, and then COVID decided to come in and put that shit on pause. But here we are now. May is here. So I have one more spot available due to someone not being able to make it now because of COVID changed, everything up. She's not going to be able to make it. So if you want to come and vibe out with myself and 8 other beautiful souls in Scottsdale, Arizona in May, I would love to have you. You can go to my site. Well, one, you can send me a message. We can talk about it, give you some information, and you can do that at Mindset Slayer on IG. Or you can go to my website, healaligneglow.com, and that glow is GLO, and then just click on Spiritual Retreat for 2021, and you can get the information for the Arizona one, and you can also, secure it there as well. So the other thing is, I'm lying. Oh, because I first, really quick, I was like, what was my other thing I was going to say to you guys? Bear with me. So far as if you are looking to work with me, I have 2 available spots in my alignment program, which is my 90-day program where we deep dive and we really rock out and get to the nitty gritty. And let's cut to the BS and get right to the root and be able to remove some of those things so you can really start moving forward in your life with the best version and with your truest desires and wants and all of that amazing stuff. So if you really just want some more information, because I don't want to take up a lot of time on this podcast talking about that, but I do have 2 spots open because I am going to be transitioning more into launching my community membership app where I will be able to provide support in a different way, and I won't be working with too many people individually, just because it's kind of time for me for me to move forward on my path into being able to help the collective in other ways. But again, don't want to take up much time of that. But if you want, more information about my 90-day alignment program, same thing. You can go to Mindset Slayer on Instagram, send me a message, and then we can hop on the call and have a conversation. So, all right. Okay, so what are we talking about today, y'all? No, okay. So I want to talk about our ancestors, and I just want to ask you guys a question. Like, do you guys know who you are? Like, where do you come from, right? So I know a lot of times on here we talk about really getting to know who you are, like at the core and at your soul level, right? And that's before the world told you who you were, right? Before the world gave you your identity, right? Who are you at that core? And like, what is your purpose in life or purposes in life, right? But also understanding a lot about yourself comes with understanding your family, and not just the family that's in your house or the family that's up the street or in the next state, but that lineage, right? That line, like, who are you? Who are your ancestors, right? So I just want to give you like a little backstory. So I come from a family with a bloodline of psychic abilities, right? And I never wanted anything to do with this. Right. My grandmother always could see, like, people know when someone like passed away before they had, ever told her. She would have people who had passed away would come to her. I remember when I went with her to the Cayman Islands, I was a kid. I was mad young. I don't even know how old I was. But, she was like, told me that, this relative came and like sat on the bed, and I was like, oh my God, don't tell me that stuff. Like, I'm super scared, but she would just tell us different stories. But my aunt is like that too. My aunt would know when someone was sick or somebody was about to pass away, and they would come to her, ahead of time. She'd see them in like that physical sense, as well as like hearing their voice and stuff. My mom is the same way too. I wanted nothing to do with that shit. My mom would tell me if she's seen something or seen someone in the house, I would literally say, don't bring that into my house. Don't bring that into my house. When I lived with my grandmother and my grandfather, and I used to be scared to go into the kitchen, because in the kitchen, it would just be dark because it's nighttime, and all you would see with the candles burning, and it would be like all these different statues and with these saints and stuff, and it was just fucking scary. It was just scary as shit. So I would be like, want a snack or something and not go into the kitchen because it was dark and I didn't want to see that. I just wanted no parts of any of that shit. Keep that woo-woo, crazy devil shit away from me, right? That was my thoughts and that was my beliefs. And I was so afraid of something that I didn't understand, but I also didn't take time to understand this, right? So then we fast forward to now. I hear things, I see things, I feel things. I bring in people's ancestors, their spiritual guides, my spiritual guides. I see the orbs, I see the flashing. I see all that shit. And I'm okay with it now, right? It was just because it was something that I didn't understand, right? So saying all that to say is that this has been in my family and I've known about that in that sense, but just at that point, I didn't want anything to do with it, right? So now when I've gotten sessions like readings and all with people that I trust and I feel like I'm connected to, they would talk about my ancestors. And both of my grandmothers on both sides have passed away. My dad's passed away. My best friend Gloria's passed away, right? So like I know like far as that connection, but I don't know anything further. And they would tell me, they would say, well, who is this lady? And they would describe and they would say like, oh, she wears a shawl. And then it was this and it was that. And I'm like, I don't know who you're talking about, but that's what's up. They're trying to work with me. We could do that, right? But I don't know who they are. I don't even really understand, right? So like I said, my grandmother has passed away. So the other day, and I want to pull it up because I think I took a picture. So my cousin, and my cousin is all around history and stuff. So she had said something to me. She was like, oh my gosh, check your ancestry. There's an update on there. Well, that update on there says that I have 1% indigenous Eastern South America, which is pre-Columbian, right? I was like, that's dope. And she was like, yeah, that would kind of like explain like the spiritual part of you, right? So on my ancestry, when I did the test, it shows I have 26% Nigeria, 23% with Western Bantu peoples, is what it says, 16% Mali, 13% England and Northwestern Europe, 7% Togo, 7% Ghana, 3% Norway, 2% Wales, 1% Portugal, and 1% Sweden. Like, let's go. What does this even mean? Like, wow, right? So I just thought it was super fascinating, right? Well, I got an email the other day about charting. Like I get it from Chartable every day. Well, one of the things where I was charting at was in Great Britain. And I sent it to my cousin. I was like, oh shit. And I was like, this is my first time in Great Britain in the category of spirituality. And she was like, yes, taking it back to our roots. So we ended up getting on the phone and we had a conversation, right? And we were talking about my grandmother. So my grandmother is from the Cayman Islands, right? My mom was born in the Cayman Islands. My dad was born in Brooklyn, right? So I just run around saying, I'm black, I'm African, I'm black. That's just what it is. I was born in Brooklyn. I was born in New York, right? But my grandmother was born in the Cayman Islands and my grandfather in Cuba. My grandmother's mom was born in Honduras, right? And then her father was Indian, whatever that means, right? And this is kind of all we know because my grandmother's mother died when she was young. So, we hear different stories and stuff, but, when you're younger and you're just running around ripping and doing things, you really don't think to really ask questions. So I just want to tell you guys, ask questions, understand where you come from, what that lineage is, right? What is that lineage? And lineage is, that's the line of descendants, right? From a particular ancestor. So you can look at your grandmother and say that lineage, who were all those people that came before her? Because you are a part of that lineage. You are a part of that line, right? So we're talking and we had heard these different stories and stuff. So what it really is, which I thought was really fascinating, is that the lineage that I come from directly is very prominent people, very prominent, dope ass people. So my grandmother's aunt, and her name is Beulah, and they call her Nana. She's in the Cayman Islands and she was an educator there. Very, very, very well known and just prominent that she was ordained from the Queen of England. She had tea with the Queen of England. It's just like, what's up? Like, she's that shit in our terms, right? So very just prominent. And also the first people that were in the Cayman Islands were the Boddens, Bodden, and that's the last name, the Boddens. Well, my grandmother's, mother's mother, she was a Bodden. So the lineage and the line that we come from are the first people in the Cayman Islands. How dope is that? Now that's just that part. We don't know about my grandmother's father's side. All we just know is like he's like Indian. And again, whatever that meant. So we don't even know about that part. But just to know when you look at your results from Ancestry, to see all these different things, it's fascinating to see all these people, of how they had to be in all these different places, but still end up connecting for that to be a part of your lineage, right? So they say to know yourself, you got to know your ancestors, right? Really understand what were their troubles, what were their struggles, what was it like where they lived, where is that resilience, right? I remember saying, when people used to talk about like their ancestors being like enslaved and looking at it, I would look at it, I definitely acknowledge that 100%. Actually, somewhere along the line on my grandmother's father's side, it was a bush. The records that my cousin found, he actually owned slaves. Like, we don't really know how that, but it said like one was domestic and one was, I forget what else that it was said, but that was really interesting to see how that was. And that's a part of my lineage, right? Which was kind of saddening to like see that and all, but it's good to understand like who you are, right? And like where you're coming from getting that point. So anyway, okay. So really not knowing much of there. But I would say I like to tap into the energy of my ancestors because I know that they were resilient, right? I know that they had different struggles there, but they were able to overcome some things, right? And I'm like, when I'm having a bad day or things just really just seem like my back is against the wall, I like to call in the energy of my ancestors to help me to see things another way, to give me that strength, to tap into that inner strength there and be able to push forward, right? And it's beautiful. But I also don't know who my ancestors are. I just know I got ancestors and I'm like, I know y'all was fucking dope. So what's up? I need that energy, right? But really, when you can understand that, you can also understand the different, you know how people talk about generational curses? I feel like a lot of times some people say that and they don't really know what those are. Like, what are those generational curses? What are those things, right? Because what we do is we look at maybe, our mother, our grandmother, or our grandfather, and we kind of like stop there. What else was before then? What is that? I know that I had got a message one time that said that I had just got this download or whatever a couple of times in the past 2 years. And it was like, I'm here to do some healing for my lineage. Because see, when you're struggling with something, if you know like poverty, right? Your family's always in poverty or been poor or not had money in that sense. And you're the first one. Like I know for me in this lifetime, like here, I'm the first one in my family to be an entrepreneur. Like that's actually kind of a big deal. Like I am the first one to be an entrepreneur. Now we have some that's come after, like some cousins who have started some things, but for the most part, it's like it's me, right? But I've come here to heal. And when we can change, like break a generational curse, like the poverty, right, into like the money, into showing that we can have money and you can change that, you heal that lineage before you as well as after. So it's so important for us to do that inner work because we're not just healing ourselves, we're healing that line because they also, the ones who have crossed over want to ascend as well because there were things that they weren't able to do. And we get to do that. And this is why they provide that support for us, right? And I probably need to slow down. Because I know some of you guys are following and some of you are like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I don't even believe in any of that. And that's okay. That is okay. That is a-okay. I'm not here to change anybody's beliefs or anything. I'm just here to speak my truth and what my truth is, right? And my thoughts and my beliefs, right? So we are able to use the energy of our ancestors to be able to heal, right? To heal. So, when you look at, okay, I'll give you a real life example. So my mother had me at 16 and then I had my daughter at 16. And I said, oh, hell the fuck no. That shit stops with me. And it wasn't something that I sought out to do where I was like, I'm going to make sure that my kids don't have a kid at 16 because I'm going to break this pattern. I'm going to break this curse. But I knew subconsciously and consciously, I was like, no, I see the pattern. I recognize the pattern. So this is all about setting intentions, right? When you set an intention for something and you know what it is that you want or you are seeking, you then start making moves that align towards that, right? So when my oldest daughter, she's in her 20s now, and I'm like, yes, let's go. We've beaten all types of statistics over here. She hasn't been pregnant. She didn't drop out of school. She graduated from college. She's an entrepreneur herself. And then here comes my son, same thing, graduates from high school. He's an entrepreneur. He ain't no babies. Now, granted, I got 2 more. One's 15. So we pushing it. She's going to be 16 this year. But that's a part of like a pattern with like the generations, like, right, where things can keep going. Well, it has to stop somewhere. Somebody has to change it. Like there was nobody in there that had their own business. Everyone worked for somebody. And I'm not knocking anybody that has a job, but that's where it was and just stayed and accepted their fate, accepted where their status was. And that was just all to life. And then here I come along like, I can't even keep a job because I don't like this. And I'm just whatever, let me just quit this job and on to the next, but just not knowing it's like my soul didn't sit right with it. And then boom, entrepreneur. And I start, I create my business and do my own thing. So I changed that course and that's what we're meant to do. So when you are struggling with something and you say, well, yeah, I'm not affectionate because, my mother wasn't affectionate, but her mother wasn't affectionate either. Well, you don't have to repeat that and pass that down to your children. You can change it and you can heal it. And all it is just really, it is healing it, within to understand that you deserve to be loved, right? You deserve to be loved and you can be loved, right? So that's a part of that healing process. But then you get to heal your lineage. You get to heal those before you and those after, right? So super, super, super important to understand where you come from, right? Like, who are your ancestors? What did they go through, right? Where are those patterns at? So once you notice the pattern, you can see the lessons and then you can learn them so that way you can continue to evolve and grow. So I remember someone telling me, it was another session that I had, and it was interesting because it mimicked a download that I had gotten. And it said that somewhere along in my lineage, something happened that wasn't meant to happen, and it changed the course of everyone's life. And I'm here to heal it. Well, that's cool, is what I said. That's cool. But what was it? Like, tell me what it was, right? I don't have time for these games and stuff. But no, on a serious note, I'm like, well, what was it so I could heal it? And I don't know what that is, right? But I know it's a part of my mission here. However, what I now kind of think it is, so my grandmother, like I told you, my grandmother's from the Cayman Islands. And without going into great details in that sense until I can give you the updated version when we figure this out. But my grandmother was supposed to have been left with a lot of land that was left for her and my oldest. Okay, let's just say it was left for her. Well, someone did something that was really shady and had a will and stuff changed. And that no longer became hers and went to someone else. Well, in that moment, my grandmother's whole life changed and everybody else's life changed because my grandmother technically would have been a millionaire, which means I would have been a millionaire, goddammit. But no, on a serious note. So that changed. And that changed her whole path and everyone else's whole path. Like my grandmother, had what was hers, her inheritance, and that was hers, she may have left my grandfather, which when she was in an abusive relationship, had she had money, she may have felt that she was good to go, right? You know, a lot of people stay in relationships because they're not financially straight. So they stay in things that they know that no longer serve them, is actually dangerous or detriment to them because of money. So they have left that relationship. My grandmother was really good with like budgeting money. And I used to say, Grandma, how do you do all of this off of a fixed income? And I have money that's not a fixed income and I'll be behind on my shit. I used to just envy her because her income was so low between like Social Security and like SSI or maybe are they the same thing? Whatever. But just off of those different things for her and like my uncle who has a disability. And with all her bills, she would never be late on her rent. She would never be late on her power, any of that stuff. It was just amazing. But that was it. And that was the life. You get this money once a month and it goes to your bills and you get to do it again. And that was a life that she lived. Had that had not happened, who knows? She'd have been out tricking off her money and having a good old time. But no, or just doing good in the world or whatever like the case is. So I now sit here and wonder if that is what they're talking about, because it did change. Because I have different people in my family who have been on drugs, who, you know, have been incarcerated for more than like half their life. They've been locked up and their life may have been different, you know, had that never happened. And I don't know, had she had gotten into stuff, I might not be here because my mom's life might have been different. I don't know. But they were never given that opportunity because it was taken from them. And me and my cousin was like, oh, nah, we about to pull up. We about to pull up. You might have got past the kids, but it's the grandkids that's like, we got to make this right. And again, I think this is another reason to really understand your ancestors, is understand where you come from. Like, you come from fucking royalty, prominent people with money, wealth. So here I am thinking like, oh my gosh, here's this generational curse and this poverty and this poor and this scarcity, you know, mindset. But that's not where we actually came from. It's not where we actually really came from, right? So somewhere along the lines, shit got twisted, right? But I know one of my reasons of incarnating now is to change things, is to heal that lineage and heal the ones to come, right? So like, you know, when people, they be like, yeah, you know, I got it out the mud and I had to do this and I had to do that. Yo, I don't want my kids to say that. And now granted, my kids are older, but my fucking 10-year-old, they ain't gonna say that. Nah, they don't need to get shit out the fucking mud. I'm not trying to teach them no type of lessons in that. Like, I want to make sure that they're okay because I know that they're going to have a lot of lessons to learn. And I don't want taking care of your basic needs to be one of those shits. Right? At all. So a lot of times we're in this position and we say, well, no one in our family was rich. Well, no one in our family, you know, expressed how they felt. Well, no one in our family said that they were loved. And no one in our family, you know, did this or whatever the case is. That's cool. But that doesn't have to stay with you. So when you can start to see and learn your ancestors and learn where your family come from and you can see it, you can understand more of like who you are on a deeper level. And then you can start to heal that. So a lot of times think that they're like, oh, I just have a small family. Like, it's just like us. But who came before them? So do you guys know that, right? Do you know? So there's like a couple of ways that I would just say to you guys. I would say, again, to know yourself, know your ancestors, right? So 3 ways I want to share with you. One, just doing just like your recent genealogy, right? Who are the elders in your family? And when was the last time you had a conversation with them? Seriously, think about it. Who are the elders? Who is the oldest person that you know that's in your family? Who are those elders? Go and have a conversation with them. Ask them questions. Ask them to give you names of people, give you birth dates, death dates, places, stories. Even if you feel like the stories, they're stupid, get all of that information that you can while they are still physically here. I had heard stories from my grandmother, but I honestly really wish I would have asked more. I really wish I would have just sat there and asked her all types of questions. Well, who was that? And what was they? And how they related to you? And what happened? And what did they do for a living? Well, where did they live? Where did they come from? Well, I know you say your mom's from Honduras. Do you know anything else? What else did you learn about her? And I know she didn't know much about her mom because she was a baby, but to me it was interesting because she was raised by her grandmother and she was raised by her aunt. So did they not tell you stuff? Did you not ask questions? Like what? And these are the things that I can still get from her in a different sense because I connect to her energy all the time, but in a physical sense, right? So go to the elders in your family and ask questions and take notes and really, really start to understand where you come from, like who you are, what were some of those things, right? The second thing I would say is just doing ancestry, doing a DNA trace, right? Fascinating. So for African American people that are listening right now, I hear that there's an AfricanAncestry.com that, people are suggesting. I haven't used that yet, just actually got put onto it. So I am going to go look onto that and to see what other information I can get from there. But whether you do the Ancestry.com or the, 23andMe, I might have made that up, something like that. Like I suggest, because that's the deeper and understand the different things that are a part of you and just knowing that different people at different times and eras, they were just all around. Then it trickled down to you. The third way I would say is just really honestly direct communication. And this is for the people who believe in like energy and when someone passes over that their spirit and stuff is still there so you can work with that energy, right? So say, you have like your ancestors or whatever, that if they were alive, just like you talk to your grandmother, your mother, your father, your grandfather, you just talk to them. You say, hey, you send them a text message, you call them, how are you doing? So you can do the same thing with your ancestors, the ones that you know. Now, the ones that you know that have passed away, like grandma, grandpa, and all that, you can just speak directly. But then when there's like the ones that you don't know, you can still speak. You can still speak. You can still build that relationship and stuff. So we get these different signs from them, right? Sometimes you just know that they're there and you'll feel a certain way, or you'll just like, and it's not about just going to them when you have problems, right? That's what I used to do. I'm like, please help me in this, please guide me in this. Now it's just like, thank you for watching over me. Like, hey, or whatever, like the case may be, I may be in like the car. But when you're really understanding something, especially if you feel like you're repeating this pattern, you can call on your ancestors and say, I keep repeating this pattern. Where is this at on a cellular level within me? Is this something that is in the lineage that we've all struggled with? But just like you would have a conversation with, your family that's alive, you would do the same thing. And just know you may get a certain idea pop in your head or a thought or something. So example, the other day I was on the phone with my aunt and we were talking about the whole thing about them, switching and stealing the land from grandma. And I was like, yeah, it's just funny that we keep having this conversation, me and my cousin, so quote unquote randomly, but we never do anything about it. But it's just the way that it comes up. And what triggered it was me getting this what triggered the conversation now, because we always have it, but was because I was charting in Great Britain. So that's what triggered the whole talk about the whole thing. But anyway, I'm on the phone with my aunt and we're talking about it. As she's talking about it, she's like, yeah, we really need to go to the Cayman Islands, blah, 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 this and that. And as we're talking, I start laughing. She's like, what? I said, the car that just cut in front of me, the license plate says 1932. And she was like, that's a sign. I was like, I know. That's when my grandmother was born. So that's how it'll happen. You could be talking about something and it's just a confirmation, or to help you, it'll be through numbers, or it'll do a song that'll come on, or something that somebody will say, but they will find a way to communicate to you, to give you that sign, that guidance, that message, or whatever the case may be. Like, yes, that's what's up. You're on the right track. And some people be like, oh, that's just a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence because I believe that everything is purposeful and everything is, divinely, timed and just meant to be, and everything is just literally for a reason. So so you can have that conversation. You can, put it out there and say, I want to tap into the energy of my ancestors that may have struggled with what I'm going through right now. And that also needs the healing. And I just need some guidance, or I need some love, or I need some protection
protection, or I just really just need a sign of which way to go. Where do I go for this? What do I do? In there, because we're never alone. We're never alone. And our ancestors want us to heal because it helps heal them. And it's kind of like when you're playing a video game, or if you used to play a video game, or you ever seen like the kids play a video game, or what's that game show where they'd be like, do you want a lifeline? Do you want to ask the crowd? Do you want to ask the audience, or you got it on your own? Well, that's how it is when we're going through life. You got it on your own? You good? Or do you want to use your lifeline? I always say to my ancestors, my guys, I'd be like, throw me a bone, because clearly I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I need some help here. So throw me a bone. But it's just like that TV show game. I forget the name of it, but it's like, you want to answer it? No. Okay, fine. I want the help of the audience. Well, that's what we get to do with our spirit guides, our angels, our ancestors. Like, they're ready to help us, but we have to ask for that help, because just like us, we have free will, and we have to ask for the help, just like you would ask someone in a human form, like, yo, you got me? I need your help, right? Same thing with our ancestors, and they want to help us. So when you are feeling low and stuck, and I'm doing air quotes over here because we're never stuck, but it doesn't stop the ego from coming in and giving us that fake illusion that we are stuck, and you're just like, fuck, I'm just crying, I'm just sad, I don't know what to do. There's something on a deeper cellular level that needs to heal, and there's things that you've carried over that is a part of your lineage, and they want to help us. They want to help, and there's no right or wrong way to connect at all. Just talk. Sometimes I'll say to the universe and my guides, I'll say, clearly, I don't know what I'm doing. So do your thing. Show me, help me, guide me, point me in the right direction. What's up? I don't do no proper way, because I only know how to be me. Just like I would talk to someone in the physical sense, I do the same thing there. And they want to help us, right? So it's really, 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 I believe, really important to understand that lineage, understand our heritage, understanding really where you come from and why you do the things that you do. So, I always talk about going to your childhood. It's all connected. It's our childhood, right? But it's understanding our parents and our grandparents and their parents. What was the era that was going on there? What are some of those things, right? So I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say is get to know your people. Get to know your people. So when you get done listening to this podcast, make it your business to say, who are the elders in my family? And let me go talk to them. Let me go ask them questions. They want to give you that, right? They want to. My grandmother had a Bible, and in the Bible, it had a tree, and she had filled in these different people and stuff. And that's what helped my cousin. My cousin had that Bible. My grandmother passed away. And in the Bible, she had their family tree filled out. And that's how she was able to do some digging to look up information about, her father. And her mother. It wasn't really too much to get on like the father, but that helped. Is there a Bible? Does your grandparents or your great-grandparents, do they have a Bible that they started filling out a tree? Ask them who those people are. Ask them who they are. You don't have to just know your first cousins. That's cool, but who else? Who else? And really start to just get that, information. And if you're adopted, what information do you have? Do you know anything? Have you done your ancestry.com? Went to ancestry.com? And I need to stop saying that, because they're definitely not a sponsor. I'm gonna have to holler at them. But have you done that just to kind of get something in there? And it's pretty cool because it starts popping up and give you the percentage of other people who match and stuff. And there's somebody on one of mine that says that she's a second cousin. I'm like, dude, where? Who? That's very close, right? I don't know anything about my dad, that where it's had the South American part, the indigenous part. That has to be from my dad's side, because when we looked at everything and matched it, because my mom took hers too, that wasn't a part of it. So I was like, man, that's on my dad's side. Well, my dad's passed away, and I don't know if any of them are going to do that. I thought about asking my cousin, my male cousin, but I don't know. He might be real funny about putting his DNA up in there, but I'm going to ask him, because I know I can get a lot from him, especially being a male and on my dad's side, because I really want to explore, because all of this is just through my mom's side, but I really want to understand more. So yeah, so even if you've been adopted, don't just say, oh, well, I don't know, and there's no way to find out. There's always a way. And I don't know who that is, but there's always a way, right? It's just if you believe and you leave yourself open, you can get some answers to really kind of understand more about who you are, right? So I hope you guys go do a little bit of digging and get some info and learn a little bit more about yourself and where you come from and just all of that good stuff. And then I hope that you share it with me. As always, I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening, to my podcast and giving me feedback. And most importantly, thank you for just taking time to yourself. Because yes, you are listening to me, but you're listening to me for yourself. You're showing up for yourself. You are showing up for yourself. And I think that is so badass. So pat yourselves on the back and say, I'm dope, because you guys are. So until next time, love you guys. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to #certified. If anything resonated with you, I would love to continue the conversation. You can follow me on Instagram at @itistisha. And if you want to be a part of the #certified tribe, you can join my Facebook group by going to the search tab and putting in #certified. My website is conversationswithtisha.com. As always, have a great one on purpose. Love you.